Myself, Mrs. Vaishnavi Navle, Assistant Professor in ENTC Department, AISSMS College of Engineering. Welcome you all for virtual labs, hands-on workshop for faculty of all engineering disciplines. This event is organized by ENTC Department of AISSMS College of Engineering and PVG's COET V Labs Regional Nodal Center in coordination with Savitribai Phule Pune University, BOS ENTC and virtual labs.
शारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा.
Thank you, Mika. It's my privilege to introduce Dr. D.S. Mane sir, Principal, AISSMS College of Engineering, Chairman, BOS and Electronics at SPPU. He has acquired his PhD from SRMT TMU, Nanded. He is member of Research and Recognition Committees for Electronics.
Madam. Okay, directly.
Yeah, please don't give my introduction.
Yes, sir. Yes. At SPPU and recognized PhD guide in Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering. Now I request sir to brief about the event and guide us all.
Thank you, madam. Good morning, everybody. I personally and on behalf of AISSMS COE and our all team members, I welcome Honorable Dr. Nitin Karmalkar sir, Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule Pune University, Dr. Manoj Chaskar, Dean, Science and Technology, Professor Santosh Narona, Pushpendra Mishra, Kaduskar sir, Dr. Bhalke, Mrs. Katakar, Mr. Maule, all the professors, participants from different colleges. I'm really very happy today. More than 900 plus participants joined on Zoom. And at the same time, there's a telecast on YouTube also. So many participants are joined on this particular event. I first of all congratulate Khatakar and Bhalke for coordinating this event for the teachers of Savitribai Phule Pune University. And I thank IIT administration and Dr. Narona and Pushpendra Mishra for giving support for this particular one-day hands-on workshop on virtual lab, and which is a need of hour because of this pandemic situation. It is very difficult to call the students to the college and conduct the experiments. So this is the one of the best solution where students will get the opportunity to experiment by modeling the physical phenomena by sets of equation or carrying out by simulation with the help of different virtual labs. We are associated with this V Lab since last more than 5-6 years because we at ASNCU have nodal center. Previously, we work at RSU also. We had the nodal center there also. So our students are getting the opportunity to work on various experiments in various courses that are available on virtual lab of the IIT Powai. I'm very happy to share with sir and Dean sir also. Recently in the second engineering curriculum, we introduced this virtual lab as a part of experiments in each and every course. Fortunately, almost all the virtual labs of secondary electronics courses are available. And with the help of Khatakar, we are incorporated in the syllabus itself. So definitely students will going to work on that virtual labs. So I appeal this Dr. Narona and his team to give some input about the teachers because we need to develop some of the labs, and definitely our teachers are working nowadays creating a lot of e-content for the students, and even some practical e-contents are developed by some of the colleges. So I will not take much time. I thank VC sir and Dean sir for sparing their valuable time
Assistant
and
Professor
available for
in
the
ENTC
students'
Department.
Activity. I appeal all the teachers of engineering from different disciplines and different programs to try to use this virtual lab and give the flavor to the students. It's a very good platform, and students will be definitely get the exposure to the practical content through this simulation. Once again, I congratulate the entire team of ASMS COE and PVG for coordinating this activity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for briefing the event and highlighting on the aim behind the workshop. Now, may I request Dr. D.G. Bhalke, sir, HOD, ENTC Department, ASMS College of Engineering, to introduce Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, sir, Vice Chancellor, SPPU.
Okay, thank you, madam. A very good morning and warm welcome to you all, the dignitaries on the dais, guests, and my dear delegates. On behalf of ASMS COE, I, Dr. D.G. Bhalke, feel privileged to introduce today's chief guest. Today, we are honored and blessed with us Honorable Nitin Karmarkar, sir, Vice Chancellor of prestigious Savitribai Phule Pune University. He is well known to all of us. He made all of us very proud because of his distinguished work in numerous capacities. He is not only administrator, he is not only academician, he is not only researcher, but a blend of all photo in it. He hardly needs any introduction, but today we have participants from all over India as well as from the globe. So I take this opportunity to introduce sir. He started his journey as a simple teacher like us, then former head of the Department of Environmental Science and Department of Geology. He is having more than 25 years of teaching experience. He is a well-known scientist in the field of engineers petrology. He is constantly guiding various facets of academia, being part of member board of studies, research and recognition committee for geology and environmental sciences. Over the years, he has shouldered various administrative duties as an IQAC coordinator of SPPU, then member of Central Purchase Committee, member of Senate, member of Alumni Association, Placement Corporate Relations Cell of the SPPU. He worked with various research collaborators from Australia, France, and Germany. Under his guidance, more than 20 students completed their MSc dissertation and more than 4 students completed their PhD. He is actively involved in mentoring for Earth Science Olympiad. He is a council member of Geological Society of India, fellow member of Maharashtra Academy of Science. He received Professor C. Naganna Gold Medal of Mineralogical Society of India Award towards his contribution in the field of alkaline magnetism of the Kutch region, Gujarat. This background provides him with a blend of strong academic and research experience with administrative experience. He acted as the Vice Chancellor Solapur University during the period December 2017 to May 2018. He is also a regular assessor of ANAC. He has been appointed as the chairman of Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleo Sciences, Lucknow, by the Central Government Department of Science and Technology. Birbal Sahni Institute is a world leader in the research in the CO sources. In addition, Honorable Chairman UGC has nominated Sir as a member of the governing board and governing council of Consortium for Educational Communication under the category of Vice Chancellor of the University, having Media Center. So it is a nodal center of national level to address the higher educational needs of the country by producing and disseminating multimedia educational content. He also has been nominated by the government of Maharashtra as the chairman of the steering committee to examine, evaluate, fulfill, and enhance bilateral educational ties between France and government of Maharashtra. He has also been nominated as a member of the steering committee on city Vigilance Strategy for Pune, supported by 100 resilient cities. Honorable Chairman, UGC has constituted an expert committee for drafting subject-specific template for learning outcome-based curriculum framework for UG and PG level under the chairmanship of Sir. Under his proficient and dynamic leadership, SPPU is emerging as a fast-growing premier institute of higher education at a national and international level with many achievements and honors. Really, we are proud of you, sir. It's a proud moment for us to have a chief guest for today's function. Your words will definitely enrich, enhance, enlighten, and motivate for all of us for our future journey. Thank you very much. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, sir, to guide us all.
Madam, please please unmute the sir. Madam, please unmute the sir.
Right. Am I audible now?
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
You are
sir.
audible.
Very good morning to you all. Good morning, Dr. Bodmane. Good morning, Chaskar sir, Delke sir, Naule madam, many other faculty from ASMS, faculties from IIT Mumbai, many other engineering colleges students basically participating in this particular webinar. It's indeed a proud moment when we are speaking about online education. Basically, it is easy to impart theory part through online mode, but always difficult to actually have a hands-on training that is required, especially in the engineering courses, the practical component part of it, and which was a challenging task as such. And this particular webinar perhaps is addressing that particular issue, wherein there is a virtual lab through which, to a great extent, various simulations and modeling through which you would be, to a great extent, providing the necessary information, necessary sort of a practical information about the various different labs and instruments generally comes under the engineering category as such. And when we are in the process of developing e-content, obviously, this is going to actually give a sort of a fillip to the kind of e-content that we are developing, especially for the engineering student as such. I'm pretty sure the student perhaps will get to understand how basically they can, in fact, do the practicals in a virtual mode, and possibly the next education after COVID-19 basically is going to be in a blended mode. So physically going to the lab and conducting experiment, perhaps we'll have to actually have an experience before that in a virtual mode, and possibly whenever it is feasible and possible, we can actually physically go to the lab as such. And always say that the actual lectures or actual practicals, the online thing cannot be in the replacement for all this, but because of the pandemic situation, we have to in fact have understanding of this particular mode also, so that we do not lose on anything. The education continues, and then we'll get to understand about the various different experiments through this, I would say, virtual kind of a lab. In fact, I remember distinctly in Delhi when Javadekar was the MHRD minister, there was a presentation made on virtual lab presentation. And that time it was actually quite sort of interesting, because I personally could see many things, many experiments happening and so on and so forth. But now it has become a necessity, need of the time as such. And I'm happy to understand through Bodmane sir that it has already been incorporated in the syllabi of the engineering courses as such. So I'm pretty sure the day-long, so the webinar will give students a basic understanding about how do we understand about various different experiments, various different practicals, basically through virtual sort of a mode, maybe the augmented reality and things like, perhaps making use of all these new technologies, perhaps will make students actually not to lose the connect with these experiments, and whenever they find time, obviously, they can actually do it in the lab. So with this, I once again congratulate all of you for taking this extra effort. Dr. Chaskar, who is the Dean for Science Faculty, is also present. Incidentally, I'm in Kolhapur. I wasn't very sure whether I would be able to make it, but I could make it. I'm so happy about that I could make it. So once again, I congratulate you all and wish you a grand success for this webinar. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your guidance, and surely it is a need of time to use VLabs for practical to reach up to students. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now, may I request Mrs. Vidya Deshmukh, Assistant Professor in ENTC Department, to introduce Professor Santosh Norona, Principal Investigator, Virtual Labs, IIT Bombay.
Thank you, Vaishnavi Madam. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce to all of you Professor Santosh Norona, Principal Investigator, NMEICT, MHRD, Virtual Labs, IIT Bombay. Dr. Santosh Norona obtained his BTech in Chemical Engineering from IIT Madras and subsequently a PhD in Biochemical Engineering. He was then employed as a postdoctoral fellow for several years in NIH Bethesda. He has been at IIT Bombay since 2001. He is a biochemical engineer by training who has evolved multidisciplinary interest. He has focused on understanding various metabolic and regulatory aspects of microbial system towards rationally manipulating their productivity using genetic engineering techniques for production of therapies. Among other activities, he has focused on reactor optimization strategies for bioprocess and on developing algorithms for online adaptive control. This has resulted in an open source, indigenously developed bioreactor platform. This focus on indigenous instrumentation has extended into the creation of low-cost virtual laboratory rigs as well as healthcare devices. He coordinates development and deployment of virtual labs and MHRD ICT project. He is also professor in charge of Tata Center for Technology and Design, an interdisciplinary center with a focus on creating solutions with a high social impact, and coordinator of healthcare research, uh, IIT Bombay, which interacts with major hospitals and research labs in the Mumbai area. And he is now actively engaged in translating several collaborative research efforts into technologies. On behalf of AISSMS College of Engineering and PVG College of Engineering, I welcome Professor Santosh Norona sir. So I request you to have over to you, sir. Welcome you, sir. You can start your session. Over to you, Professor Santosh Norona, sir.
Mauritius sir is co-host, na? You can. Yes.
Yes, sir. You are visible. Your screen is visible right now.
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
Mic can unmute karo sir.
You just have to unmute.
Norona sir, please
Yeah,
unmute
so-
your mic.
Yeah, so the host needed to unmute, so thank you very much for that. So while I start up my slides, I'd like to thank all of you for inviting me to this event. And what I intend to do through what is obviously a long, day-long event, explaining how to go about both deploying virtual labs, but also creating your own virtual labs. I hope to give you a sense of history here as to what's happened, and also a feel for some of the pedagogy, which is important in terms of how you engage and utilize this content in your own specific programs. So I hope to share my screen.
Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
Yes, so let me go to full screen mode. Yeah. So as was indicated, Virtual Labs is a program funded by the Ministry of Human Resources, and it's been something which is a counterpart to NPTEL, which all of you I'm sure are familiar with. So the intent has been that between NPTEL and a collection of interactive simulators called Virtual Labs, that there be enough free content available to students across the country so that they can self-learn. And there is a long-term vision that MHRD has of creating an online open university for which there has to be high-quality content, which is both created but maintained. So before I get into the nitty-gritties of Virtual Lab, we actually need to step back and think about what are the reasons we actually carry out lab experiments. especially in an engineering university context. There are two broad reasons to my mind as to why a good experiment works, and that's basically because you're either testing a theoretical concept or else you're being made familiar with some real-world hardware. So look at the first point there. There's theory that's usually taught to us in some theory course, but invariably we end up seeing the counterpart of that as a lab experiment much later in our whole academic program. We typically at IIT Bombay see that corresponding lab experiment 1 semester after a theory concept is taught. The problem with that is there's no immediate reinforcement of learning when that theory is taught to you. And in an ideal context, you learn a bit of theory and you immediately test it out in some interactive fashion, ideally at some physical apparatus. And if you can't do that, then you do it at a interactive simulator. But the moment you do these things side by side, you're in a situation where your learning has gone to a different level because you have essentially reinforced applicable those theoretical concepts are. The other scenario is that of training engineers to move out into the real world and play around with the real world hardware. And most of us will acknowledge that the lab experiments that we run in our typical of various kinds, which allow for people to play around and collect of money. The things that we play around with are not real world systems. We play with the very robust lab systems, given that large numbers of students have to, as batches, undertake these experiments. In some situations, like for example, with the training of pilots or surgeons, there's just no ability to do real lab experiments all the time. You can't be, for example, surgeons cannot be practicing on patients or even cadavers all the time, which is where you need simulators. And those simulators, on the other hand, have to be very realistic in design. So you'll realize that most of the physical labs that we undertake as part of our regular curriculum don't address either of these two things in a good fashion. And when the virtual labs program was started by MHRD, it was to test out various ways of creating content and looking to see if you could broadly improve the pedagogy of what is being taught and therefore the retention of those concepts, and steadily get a generation of students familiar with the hardware as well. Just to throw in a few slides about pedagogy, I do believe you'll learn more about this later in the day. Most of what students address is at the bottom of this pyramid, where most of their understanding and applications are tested in a lab at best. What you ideally want to do is to have students aim for learning objectives which address the highest levels of learning, which is where they get to create something or evaluate something or analyze an unknown situation, and then try to better appreciate a set of theoretical concepts. So at IIT Bombay, for example, one of the things we are trying to do is to get to the point where we offer student teams access to a storeroom of hardware components and let them build their own lab experiment from scratch, generate data, analyze the data, and then dismantle the rigs and put them away. And that's the ideal way of doing it. Obviously, it's a very expensive way of doing it, and it cannot be done for each and every concept that needs to be taught. But in the longer term, that's where lab instruction ought to go. So the problems, of course, with most engineering colleges that we have issues with the funding. We have issues with the ability to give quality instruction. Equipment typically is not available. If it's available, it's usually doubling up as research equipment. It tends to be expensive. We tend not to use or run those experiments which have a dependency on consumables, reagents, and so on. And we tend to stay away from those kinds of experiments where there are safety issues for the most part. And so therefore, physical labs by design end up being imitations of what ought to be actually taught. So when the virtual lab challenge was given to us by MHRD approximately 10 years ago now, the basic idea was that you could replace a physical lab. Well, for that matter, you could also attempt a physical lab or a simulator, but all of this would be accessed through the internet. The physical lab concept came about because, for example, MHRD realized that at the IITs, for example, the undergraduate labs are being used for 3 hours in a day in the afternoon between 2 to 5 p.m. And most of our equipment is idle beyond that. And so the question that we were asked is, given the investment in putting up these labs, is there a way for us to make these labs, put these labs online 24/7 and have other students access it, including taking experiments remotely? And of course, as you can imagine, our own students love the idea of taking a lab experiment in the middle of the night by logging in and then running apparatus and generating data. But the broad idea that we steadily started working on was how to test out various lab delivery concepts, either as remote triggered labs or as simulators. And one of the things you very quickly learn is that a remote triggered lab is an expensive proposition for two reasons. One, at the end of the day, only one student is accessing hardware at a time remotely. And therefore, you cannot train too many students, even if you make these things available 24/7. And there's also the risk that some of these things can be damaged as apparatus if you let the student try out too many things online, which means your design of the physical infrastructure has to be very robust to prevent abuse through the internet. The programs that we attempted basically can be broken down into three categories. We looked at how to come up with modeling and simulation labs, where these are simple interactive animations through which students learn. Then we had measurement-based labs where we actually did sets of physical experiments, collected data sets, and then we started feeding these data sets as if they were simulated data sets through the net. So the advantage here is the student gets to see some realistic data and therefore gets to understand some of the inadequacies of the theory, because the theory always assumes perfect data. And the third category of things that we tried was looking at what would happen if we remote triggered hardware and let people learn through this mode. To give you a sense of what the simulation and animation experiments look like, there's a range of experiments which are created by a range of partners, and you can see that they all have different looks and feel. The top left, you're trying to see a bioreactor being run, and you get a sense that the interfaces are reasonably realistic in how essentially you have to flip different switches and execute different things in the reactor. At the bottom left, you're seeing much simpler protocol in a microbiology lab of how to carry out a sequence of steps for transferring organisms from one place or one flask or tube to another. And on the right, you're seeing, again, a bit more sophisticated way of getting things done in terms of looking at a fluid mechanics kind of concept. So you can see that there's a whole emphasis on artwork and interactivity, and also in terms of providing a good quality overall experience to students. I'm going to very quickly step through a sequence of slides, giving you a sense of how we went about this for a simple chemical engineering lab. This is a fluid mechanics experiment. And if you look at that panel on the left, it is listing a whole bunch of things that you normally would anyway see in a lab manual. There's the objective of the experiment, there's a theory, there's a procedure, there are some questions that you would normally ask in a while. Essentially, as of initial iteration on virtual labs, just took the physical lab manual and we tried to convert the physical lab experiment into a simulator. Now, one of the things that happens when you do that is you'll realize that there are serious limitations to the existing lab manuals. For example, when you're online, you really want to get a sense of to what extent people have read the content and are able to do anything. So the pre-test, post-test becomes critical for you to design to gauge how well somebody has understood the simulated interaction. The other thing that we quickly realized is while a physical experiment may last, for example, 3 hours, and that's a typical lab session at IIT Bombay, the interactive simulator, of course, can be done in minutes or seconds, which means you are forced into designing a lot of activity as a workflow online if you're going to keep students engaged for a window of time. And that forces you to hit them with higher levels of questions, the higher learning that I talked about earlier. And the whole challenge is one of how do you keep people busy for 5 to 15 minutes, which is now the equivalent of a lab session online. okay, compared to the 3 hours. So the 3 hours, if you think about it, in a fluid mechanics experiment or a heat transfer experiment in engineering, is because students are waiting for some steady state to arrive, some measurement to stabilize, and so on. And there's a lot of wasted time in between as they're sitting around waiting for something to happen. And you don't have that in an interactive simulated environment. So because the theory is already coded in the background, there are computations which happen immediately, and very quickly you arrive at some conclusions. So examples of the pretest, forcing people to answer these things before they can move on to the simulator, giving them exposure to the theory itself, not assuming that they've read it somewhere else. Notice that this is very bare bones in terms of an interface. We're asking people to try different settings to generate different flow rates, and then from there, so they start things, they watch these things. So this is an example of a lab experiment which is not a real world, realistic kind of thing. On the other hand, it is a very simple interface, and what the advantage of that is, this is accessible to students on even a phone, and it is not a heavy, bandwidth heavy kind of experience for a student. The phone thing becomes important because you've got to appreciate, especially in the time of the pandemic now, that a large number of students are trying to access content through a phone, and they're not at desktops, they're not necessarily at laptops. So some of the stats that the Virtual Labs program is seeing is that approximately 50% of access of Virtual Labs is via a phone, which means you've got to design user interfaces which are phone friendly, so that people can click buttons, do things, and collect data and so on, and then do further activities with this. So in this case, there are pressure drops being measured and computed, and flow measurements being computed, and so on. So that's a simple interactive experience as a standalone experiment. But then when you look at what teachers want a complete learning management system, which is something like a Moodle or a Coursera or an edX kind of interface. They need to find a way to integrate this into their curriculum, and ideally want it as a free tool. And over the years, what you realize is different instructors are using the interactive content in different ways. Some are directly replacing the physical labs, the afternoon labs, with a collection of virtual labs. Some have started incorporating virtual lab experiments into their Moodle theory courses itself. So as I said earlier, the best scenario is you teach somebody a little bit of theory and immediately ask them to play around with a virtual lab. So in which case the virtual lab should be accessible via Moodle itself, right next to where the student sees the theory video. So the MOOC, the concept of a MOOC itself is now changing into being a highly interactive experience where you see and learn theory, and then you immediately play around with an interactive simulator, and then you go back and learn even more theory, and you keep going this way. For all the people who are involved in using this content and creating new content, it is clear to us that their understanding of the topic improved dramatically. And the basic thing here is, if you're trying to keep people busy for 15 minutes and you're designing some activities which will keep them busy for 15 minutes, you're forced, when you're doing these things online, into teaching them some basic theory and then adding some advanced work elements, so that they're kept fully occupied, given that all of these computations are nearly instantaneous when they're done through a computer online. From a student's perspective, obviously, at IIT Bombay and later on the other colleges, students were extremely happy to just play around with computers and do lab experiments from a computer interface. Physical distances are no longer the issue, and the quality of learning has obviously improved. Most importantly, they managed to do this at their own speed and at their own time. And increasingly, several of them have gotten into a mode where they're evaluating their own learning skills. So the MHRD program for the last 10 years has involved 11 partners. It's led from a funding perspective by IIT Delhi, but essentially what happened is each of these 11 entities you see here broke off and created a zone around itself. That's simply because of logistical reasons, given that the mandate was that we create content, but also spread this content and understand the usage of this content. So IIT Bombay, of course, as you can imagine, is in charge of the Western region. Despite the fact that there are multiple partners in the program, the decision was made that everyone goes through a common front end. So students should not be confused with content coming out of different places. So there's a single login. All the content for the moment is free. and the different developers therefore contribute into this common pool of content. Early on, so towards 2009-10, 10 labs were created or were mandated. We created more. We then got into a phase where we created many more simulators. Then the focus shifted from creating content to now asking how do colleges actually get down to using it. So the focus became outreach from 2014 onwards. But in parallel, more content needed to be created because obviously there were gaps in what was being created relative to the university syllabus. We essentially teamed up with a few of our nodal centers and elevated them into being regional centers. PVG is one. And we have got some participation from additional institutes in Mumbai, Aurangabad, Delhi. And we are already at a phase where 110 experiments have been developed by the community in a very short window of time. 110 is relative to the 1,400 experiments created over 10 years. So this is the way to go. So the community coming forward to create content, learning what it takes to create content, and then solving its own problem is the way to go. And it's something that I would urge you to participate in and explore, not just today, but down the road, in trying to figure out what you need. And we will be there to help you along the way. So just putting up some list of the names of the experiments which we have created. That you can see they are typically in the computer science and electronics area, but we have things in the physics and biology domains as well. We're running workshops and boot camps, and that's simply because it's easier for us to, rather than hold several events online one after another, it's easier to pull a bunch of people together at one place and get them to focus and concentrate, especially when it comes to creating content. So there's now a process where there's a high energy kind of event where a number of faculty and students are brought together to try and brainstorm and then create content. So we've done this at several places, including one recently at UP. But the most recent one, in fact, is a boot camp that we've run through the lockdown. So which I list at the top. So well, so it's over here. We have run an event through the lockdown and attempted to create a large amount of content, given that anyway faculty and students during the early part of the lockdown had time on their hands to sit and look at encoding some of the theory as interactive simulators. There's a team of instructors which are steadily evolved, and I need to acknowledge them because these are people who have given a large fraction of their time towards helping others create content. And so they're turning into a group of mentors in content creation process. Lots of students have also devoted a lot of time. And that's something else that we have come to realize. We really need to be harnessing the energy that the students have in creating this content. And it's about mentorship, telling them what to do. And usually they go and do a great job of it. There are two tracks now of how we do this. One is before the boot camps happen, we spend time with the faculty in webinar mode, bringing them up to speed on the basics of pedagogy and how to essentially, like like you would in creating a movie, you need to create storyboards. So you literally have to force people to visualize what the activities inside a virtual lab, and you create storyboards, and then you get them to essentially put down their thoughts, and from there convert it into small tasks which involve coding. Then separately, we work with the students to bring them up to speed on all the technologies which might be relevant for creating interactive simulators. For example, if you're creating a highly interactive animated content, then you need to be familiar with HTML5. We ideally want things access to browsers as content, and so JavaScript and TypeScript become important. Then you start putting all of these together, the faculty and the students. And the way it works, you don't necessarily put together students from one department in here. What you want is diversity of skill sets in a team. So the faculty could be from, let's say, chemical engineering, but the students could be from computer science and so on. Maybe you have one or two students from chemical engineering as well. But between them, they have enough skill sets to put down theory of what has to be created, and they also have the coding skills, whether it be the browser user interface or whether it is the back-end simulator itself for evaluating the theory online. And we then get into figuring out how to evaluate students online, because one of the challenges here, as you can imagine, is how do you grade people who are doing virtual labs. There are challenges also with how to make sure your content can be a amount of trouble, because there are different ways people want it hosted. Some people want it running off a central server on a cloud. Some people want it running on a college server. And some people are happy with downloading the code and running it on local software. So in the bootcamp, we had a large an effort to reach out to a large number of participants across a large number of cities. And in some ways, this is the way to go. The usage stats for virtual labs, as you can imagine, and MHRD has been very curious about this. It's gone through the roof during the pandemic, with numbers of people, including international, because nowhere in the world has there been this quantum of content creation. In fact, we've even had the Chinese come in and try to access the virtual labs content created through the MHRD program. We have a lot of content which is housed on a platform called Git, and the idea is this is an open source code maintenance platform. And the idea is, as people create virtual lab content, the next team which comes along to create content should not have to learn everything from scratch. Maybe you can borrow bits and pieces of code and bring them into your own experiment design. That improves the thing for the whole community. That speeds up development for the whole community. So we've been working on creating platforms for code maintenance and development. So there's a certain process for how content that's been created goes national. So there's, at this point, hopefully you're clear that there are two programs afoot. There is Virtual Labs, which is the content already created by the IITs and already available for use. And then there's a new content being developed. We're calling that VLab Dev. So when new content gets created, it doesn't automatically become accessible to the entire community. We actually take it through a review process very systematically, through peer reviewers and then domain reviewers in particular. And once we're convinced that the theory is all correct and that the basic bugs have been pulled out, we are in a position now go host the content online. And one of the major advantages for a college to do this is you get international visibility because you get branding of the content that you create. The only insistence we have is that this all be free and open source to the student to use. The team structure that I talked about, the faculty with students of different disciplines and so on. And the process has been refined so that we are able to condense it down, given that people have a lot of demands on their time. So there's a lot of effort where we train people in advance on various things through webinar mode. And then when a physical event happens, it's done typically over a period of 4 to 5 days, where we get down to the creation of content as opposed to teaching them the basics of content creation. And we even try to get a review of the content developed happening in real time, so that there's real-time feedback to the teams. And we have started the certifying teams which are creating these things. So we're looking at different models of fast tracking these things, getting colleges to fund their own content creation bootcamps, looking at universities to get engaged in mandating the usage of this. As was implied earlier, AICTE is going to mandate that 20% of lab experiments be now done virtually, and this will continue post the lockdown itself. So we're looking at how to bring out better labs, and the moment you create a lab, there are ideas of improving the pedagogy, improving the user experience. It's like creating a video game. You create one thing, then students in particular are looking for the next most challenging thing to do. So how do you improve the level of content and get more and more people engaged? There's more emphasis on the bootcamp sessions itself and on certification of developers and on the review. You'll find a lot of this detail at these links, which I'll just quickly flash through, but you'll be able to access this from the slides that I'll leave behind for use later. Where is the Virtual Labs program going? We're looking at an open platform for a large number of developers to contribute and looking at doing more of these events nationally. Technology-wise, we are trying to do this entirely through browser and cloud-based simulation, and the phone becomes an important user interface. And we are trying to build technologies which will allow for this to integrate into a MOOC platform. So Moodle is not designed for use of virtual labs. So at IIT Bombay, we have been investing through the data center that I run on a platform called Bodhi, which is a Moodle replacement. And we hope to find or build a functionality to integrate virtual labs into the Bodhi framework so that students can go back and forth between theory and interactive simulators. There's going to be improved functionality in terms of authentication of students and validating it's the right student taking the experiment. That's because evaluation becomes critical down the road. How do you get people to start an experiment, pause it, go do something else, come back and resume the experiment? How do you have persistence in this? And we're trying to build in functionalization. And how do you make sure that no two students back to back get the same virtual lab user experience? Because then, for example, when you're grading them, they're just going to cheat. So how do you therefore randomize the various computations that they are going to have to do? And how do you give them different settings, random settings, and force them into doing slightly different experiments so that each student has their own unique experience? We're looking at incorporating the best pedagogical practices and frameworks for creation of storyboards. And you'll hear more about this. There was brief mention about augmented reality by the VC earlier. We're looking at that, but that's at the high end of the spectrum because that's very intensive in terms of what it takes a student to experience. But the other thing that can be done is as more and more students take virtual labs, we start learning a lot from the analytics. So for example, the way a strong student takes a virtual lab is different from the way a weak student takes a virtual lab. A weak student goes back and forth, for example, looking at the theory, coming back and trying something on the simulator, and they waste a lot of time. And if you just simply start paying attention to the time they're taking on an activity, you start learning whether somebody is going down the right track or not. And what that means is you can actually personalize the lab experience to a student. And we're playing around with these as features. You can actually give hints to students as they start taking an experiment and you see them start to struggle. And you don't need a teaching assistant online to tell them to do this in real time. We hope to create more regional centers and recruit more nodal centers, so that helps with the further rollout effort and run more events. And we also expect to start creating content for polytechnic colleges and for the science colleges. A last thought on this. At IIT Bombay, we started with rollout. We focused on the creation of new simulator labs. We are shifting focus back to the creation of hardware labs as well, because at the end of the day, you cannot be teaching a generation of students on how to understand stuff through just simulators. They ought to see the real thing at some point. So how do you get them to now look at real apparatus, and how do you design experiences around a real apparatus? And therefore, how do you create low-cost hardware experiments to play around with? That's the next generation of things that we hope to engage with. And many of the kids who get into building their own hardware immediately get excited to work with us on innovation challenges. So we have realized that the reason to get into virtual labs is not simply teaching, but that in the longer term, there's so many great things we can do, the talent that we have around us. To give you the connect details at IIT Bombay, do get in touch with us if you wish to learn more about the virtual labs and the VLabs effort. And the organizers of this event will obviously also be accessible to you if you wish to learn more. So I'll pause there and end with thanking a set of people. At Pune, thank Professor Karmakar, Bormane, and Chaskar. At PVG, Professor Kaduskaran Kulkarni and Professor Katafkaran Nagoshe, who have been running virtual labs at PVG. At AISSMS, there's Professors Bormane and Balke, who have been helping put together today's program. And at IIT Bombay, the program is dependent on Pushpadeep Mishra, who's the program manager, and you'll interact with him later on in the afternoon. So I thank all of you for coming online and for participating in this activity today. And I wish you the best as you engage in learning more things throughout the day. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving good insight on VLabs and how it is going to help students, as VLabs give very realistic practical experience, and also how all engineering discipline students will be benefited by this VLab. I extend my gratitude on behalf of AISSMS College of Engineering and PVG's COET for sharing your valuable time with us. Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Kaduskar Rajendra Gopal, Director, PVG and PVJ COET Pune. He has 32 years of experience. He has 15 number of publications in National Journal, 8 in International and 5 in IEEE journals. He has 1 teaching award and 3 special recognition received, 9 number of books published and 1 monograph. We welcome you, sir, for this session, and I request you to share your thoughts with us. Thank you. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Kaduskar, sir.
Sir, I think he's not.
Yeah. Is it okay? Yeah.
Yeah, you are audible.
Good morning. All the dignitaries present for the today's workshop, eminent scholars, professors, distinguished principals, chairman board of studies of different engineering disciplines, and faculty participants. We are fortunate to have today with us the chief guest, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule University, respected Dr. Nitin Karmarkar, who already gave us an address and he spelled out the expectations and challenges of future education. Also, I would like to welcome guest respected Dr. M.G. Chaskar, who is Honorable Dean, Faculty of Science and Technology, Savitribai Phule University, showing a keen interest in this activity, and probably it is with a hope that he will promote this activity further. Even I would like to welcome Dr. Santosh Narona, Honorable Principal Investigator, Virtual Labs, IIT Bombay, respected Dr. D.S. Bormane, Honorable Principal of AISSMS College of Engineering and Chairman of bodies ENTC, who already initiated this activity and started to introduce this VLab course in the syllabus. I, Professor R.G. Kaduskar, on behalf of PVG COET, VLab Nodal Center, extend my warm welcome to you all for the today's workshop, which is being conducted online due to the present COVID-19 pandemic situation. As you are all aware that for maybe last half an hour, Professor Dr. Santosh Narona from the Principal Investigator, Virtual Lab, IIT Bombay, explained how the progressed and what are the different activities are going on and which activities being run. Now my role is what's the role of PVG COET, because in you might have that PVG COET faculties and the students are being observed in the screen and the development being done by PVG COET. As an opportunity and support from IIT Bombay, PVG COET becomes a part of particular activity and established a center on 9th March 2015. Knowing the work task, we requested IIT Bombay that two coordinators were the normal content development and one is for the technical, and they accept our request, and the two senior faculties, Professor Mrs. Tanuja Kataukar and Professor Manish Nagoshe, been given the responsibilities as nodal coordinator and nodal technical coordinator. With the initial planning, discussion, debate, the various execution aspects, the knowledge sharing between IIT Bombay and PVG COET faculties, it was possible to conduct some of the outreach workshops in the initial phase. After realizing the need of expanding the team of PVG for further tasks, we strengthened our team by adding the nodal center coordinators from the department wise and even the technical coordinators department wise. And this new team developed the content which is further advanced in the previous one. And also the outreach activity goes on increasing. In the same time, this team has taken the efforts to involve the students and inculcate the sense of virtual lab project activity among the students and motivate them to be part of this project activity and contribute actively. And as a result of this, we established a talented pool of and good quality technical students forum in the college. I would like to make a mention that in a slide, Professor Dr. Narona has shown the students acting as a resource person. They are now doing the role of resource in the various virtual lab activities. They are also giving training to the new pool of students, content development. So all that has been because of the efforts of PVG COET VLab Nodal Center took that. And with the continuous encouragement and support of IIT Bombay, the team with the dedicated efforts and great teamwork developed in the initial phase around 14 plus subjects virtual laboratories having more than 125 experiments in all and deployed successfully with the help of IIT Bombay. Recognizing the effort and contribution, IIT Bombay promoted PVG COET Virtual Lab Nodal Center to a Nodal Center regional on June 15, 2017. And I think Professor Dr. Narona has already mentioned that how the PVG COET has advanced from a nodal center to the regional nodal center. And today we are in the role of the regional nodal center. Indeed, it's a big opportunity for all our team, but it is the same time that it is to be and work harder and that to be on a larger scale. And we, the Pune Vidyarthigara, having the organization in Maharashtra, more than 111 years of legacy in education social field, we always promote such type of activities which are of a social benefit and important to the society. And with the commitment and expectations of society, we always encourage the team and the faculty to contribute actively. So we keep that momentum, and really the PVG COET VLab team did excellent work, and they are also taken a role in introducing audit course on virtual lab development in Savitribai Phule University engineering curriculum, and this was started from the academic year 2018-19 for second year to final year engineering students of all branches. And I think the Savitribai Phule University, with the initiative of Dr. D.S. Bormane as the chairman board of studies, and with the presence of Dean Science and Technology, Dr. Chaskar, I think this activity will move further in the Savitribai Phule University and will be more effectively used in further curricula. I think our faculty, which is being doing for last 5 years a fantastic job. I am sure that they will show this their activity by the way of presenting themselves and giving training in the today's workshop. And I am confident that the faculty in the academics will get the proper inside view of virtual labs, how it can be useful in the academics so as to improve the further teaching learning process. With this word, I give my best wishes to organizing team for all the success in today's workshop. With an appeal to all, stay safe, stay protected. I once again welcome you on behalf of PVG Nodal Center. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable thoughts behind this workshop and also how VLab has benefited students in PVG's COET. On behalf of AISSMS College of Engineering, I'm thankful to you for sharing your valuable thoughts with us. I take an opportunity to introduce Dr. M.G. Chaskar, Dean, Science and Technology, SPPU Pune. Dr. M.G. Chaskar is a fellow of prestigious academy, Mombishio Fellowship, Government of Japan, VBL Fellowship, Government of Japan, Visiting Scientist, Japan, Visiting Scientist, Germany, Postdoctoral Fellowship, Nagoya University, Hanover University, Germany. He has number of professional achievements. Few I would like to mention here. His member, Subcommittee of Sports, University of Pune, as an observer under CAS, Amritsar, Japan. Member, NAT Peer Team, Bangalore. Member, BOS Chemistry, Pune University. Member, BOE, SPPU. His member, Engineering Faculty, Pune University. Member, Senate, SPPU. Member, Management Council, SPPU. Dean, Science and Technology, SPPU. He is recipient of Young Scientist Award, Best Paper Presentation Award, Babu Ravji Gholap Award by PDEA. Awards received by institute under his leadership are Best College Award by University of Pune, first prize on university level and district level, Jagar Janivancha under University of Pune. His research publication include 23 international publication in peer-reviewed international journals in the area of solid-state material sciences, photocatalysis, one paper in top 25 in Science Direct list, year 2011. He has 3 major research projects completed as a principal investigator, funds received from UC and Pune University, total individual grant received rupees 17 lakhs. He has 31 national international level conferences attended, organized 10 conferences. We welcome you, sir, for this session, and I request you to guide all the participants. Hello, sir.
Madam, I think sir has a certain technical issue. Bormani, sir. Hello. Sir. Hello.
Hello.
Sir, Tasker sir is not there in meeting.
Just let.
Participant, please wait due to some technical issue. Sir is not there in the meeting. Please wait for some time. So till then, Katagar madam, you can just ask for the further process. Just I am contacting Chasker sir in 1 or 2 minutes, please.
Okay, sir. Okay. Yes, in the meantime, I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of regional team of Virtual Labs from PVG's College of Engineering and Technology. By the time Sir joins, and we have a vote of thanks after that, we have a next session, that is the actual proceedings of our Virtual Lab workshop. Okay, so what we shall do is, after this inauguration ceremony, let us say we take a break of 5 minutes, okay, and we join back again, and we have the actual session, that is the hands-on session, because we had a very good, thorough idea of what virtual labs are, what is the object of it, and now let us go ahead and see how we could use these virtual labs. So for that, plan for the day is, in the next proceedings, we'll split demonstration of virtual labs. So faculty from PVG COET, they would try to show or demonstrate at least one experiment from different disciplines. Okay, we have tried to address different disciplines, and at least 1 or 2 experiments, they would be demonstrating it to you. And virtual labs being the ICT tool, which is useful for self-learning. It's a you can learn on your own by looking at the virtual lab concept. If you'll appreciate that later, they will help you to understand by demonstrating the virtual labs. So following that, yes, we are going to have a hands-on session and online feedback as well. Okay, so you'll be provided time. We'll be there online solving your queries through different mechanisms, which we'll explain later. So we'll have a hands-on session, and following that, we'll have, let us say, 2 brief talks about virtual labs from myself, that is Professor Tanuja Khataukar and Professor Manish Nagoshe. And then the most awaited again, the keynote address from Honorable Pushpadeep Mishra sir, who is a project manager, Virtual Labs at IIT Bombay. Now the sessions are going to be, after the session, we'll have up to 12:30, we'll have some demo rounds, and the afternoon session will start around 2:30 and have the next session, the next agenda that I have explained right now. Okay, at the end, we may have participants' experience sharing, and later, I would request Dr. Bhalke sir to conclude the session and give the vote of thanks. This is what we have planned for the day, and we'll try to address your queries, okay, through, let us say, Google Forms and online. We'll try to help you out to understand how to use virtual laboratories. Mavle sir, do we have Honorable Chaskar sir with us?
Madam, just 2 minutes, sir is contacting. Then.
Okay, okay. So when the faculty from PVG COET team would be demonstrating, will show you a sample case, one experiment they will try to show you how to explore, and even they'll give you certain ideas or let us say tips as to how it could be evaluated online, you know, because now we are at home, students are at home. So how to do the evaluation of genuinely done it or not. Now every teacher out here can use their own methodologies to assess or do the assessment part of it. And a few tips would be given by our faculty, how they have been doing it. Or rather, you'll find these days, the new labs that have evolved, they really cater to even the assessment part. They also provide the grades to the student. And as Dr. Santosh Ranna rightly mentioned, there is randomization as well included in certain virtual labs. These virtual labs have been developed right from 2009 onwards. So you'll find different flavors of, you know, similar type of experiments also. So it's the team who can identify which are the best of the you know, experiments. They can give it to the students and ask the students to learn from these experiments. And this being you know, you can say free of cost tool, every teacher, every student can use it at any point of time and from anywhere. So in today's sessions, we'll have, as I mentioned, demonstration, and then hands-on, and then we'll have few talks and the key address from Pushpadeep Mishra sir, and then we'll conclude the session. Over to you, Bhalke sir.
Madam, just sir said we will wait for 1 minute. Then
okay,
we will have vote of thanks.
Okay.
Sir said to wait
Okay,
for 1
sir.
minute.
Okay.
1 minute.
Fine.
Madam, there is one query from the participant. They have asked in the chat box. She asked so that Narona sir will answer that question.
Do we have Narana sir? Because sir was supposed to be waiting and he was not
Okay,
available.
you or
So,
Nagoshi
yeah.
sir can take. Meanwhile, I will
Yes,
just
sir.
go through the question. Shall I?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, in VLab, whatever simulator is given, it is 32-bit. Hence, latest
iOS, Linux, Windows, it's not going to make a difference. Yeah, obviously, when the development has started in the beginning, many people doesn't have a view how to go about it. So they started from some platform and started developing and building, and then they come up with some pilot stuff, all the stuff. So those are all older labs. So wherever you might be requiring some kind of JRE 32-bit or maybe JRE 64-bit. Okay, so that's the old technology. That's already there, and then the massive conversion task is also going on all across India for all older labs. So those who are facing such kind of problems, I would like to tell you that those problems will be dictated as early as possible, as the massive content development is going on. So I hope that answered the query. So in your labs, whatever is coming, it's just a browser base. You need a one sort of browser, nothing else. So we are targeting even mobile frameworks also. So it will be working on mobile. So you don't need. We started developing on 2G network. So we have to also cater to that technology also. That how we can use the minimum bandwidth, optimization of the code, minimal use of UI challenges. So all those stuffs are there, and more. What are the additional things are getting introduced is the high cognitive level and the randomization, and that posing a lot of technical challenges. Yes, there are solutions. We are trying our best. Hope with IIT Bombay will be delivering a few good labs soon. Thank you.
Malki sir.
Also share this with you. So that's one of the takeaways. Hands-on session is another takeaways. And you'll also have the list with you so that when you go back, you can use these lists and access the virtual laboratories and help your students to learn better. So the objective of this workshop is to empower the teaching fraternity with this ICT tool that would really enrich the teaching learning process. That's the actual aim. And now to start off with the sessions on demonstration of virtual labs, I'll request Professor Meenal Apsangi, who is a nodal coordinator for PVG's College of Engineering and Technology, to take over this session. And please do the comparing. Meenal ma'am.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Okay.
If you would like to share the screen, you can share the screen, right?
Yes, sure. Good afternoon, all. And I'm Professor. From PVG's College of Engineering and Technology. Today, I'm going to explain you an experiment on physics. Now, experiment on physics, how to do the experiment online by using the virtual lab. Basically, we are going to see that. There are 6 to 7 experiments of physics which we can map with the VLab experiment, VLab platform. Out of them, I am going to explain you one. Now, let us see how to go for it. Let me share the screen. Yes. First, we need to click on see. There are a lot of discipline. Now, out of this, for physics experiment, we need to explore here the physical science. Now, in this physical science lab, now you can see there are almost 12 labs, and each lab there are 8 to 10 experiments. So today I'm going to demonstrate an experiment based on solid state physics lab. So I have just clicked on solid state physics virtual lab. Now out of these, you can see there are so many experiments on that. Today we will see the demonstration of Hall effect experiment. So I'm just going to click on this. Now you can see the various tabs on the screen. Now this lab is created by Amrita University. So by virtue of Amrita University, this lab is available to us. Now let us explore this lab. Now the first tab is theory. Now in this tab, you can see the detail of all this experiment, the aim, the apparatus, and theory regarding this experiment. In very detail, it has been explained here. Now, the student must be asked to read this theory carefully so that they can able to understand the concept regarding this experiment. Now we need to go to the next tab, that is the procedure. So once you click to the next tab, you will see the procedure in detail. So now here in this experiment, basically, there are two parts of the experiment. Now in the first part of the procedure, we need to correlate the magnetic field and the current. Now from this particular part, we will come to know the value of the magnetic field when some particular value of current is being applied. So from the first part, we will come to know the value of the magnetic field that we are going to use in the second part of the experiment. Now in the second part, basically we will try to perform the experiment to find out the charge density. Now you can see the third tab here, that is self-evaluation tab. Now in the self-evaluation tab, there are 5 questions. Basically, these are related to the theory which has been explained earlier. So students are required to read the theory carefully so that they can able to answer this question. Now see what happens if I click the answer. So I'm just randomly selecting the answer here. Once I select the answer and click the submit button, it will assess my answer. So you can see all the correct answers here. The right sign is there, and for the wrong answer, there is a cross sign. That means this answer is wrong. Okay, students are supposed to evaluate themselves by doing this. So this is a small evaluation that can be done by this VLab platform by itself. Now later on, the next part where we are going to perform the experiment, that is on simulator. So once you click the simulator, it will ask for login. And then we need to click the login. And then you can log in through your Google account or the Gmail account. So you can log in through your Google account, click the password over there. Once you click the password, once you write the password, you can be able to access this. Now the simulator is open. So now you can see the apparatus, the virtual apparatus is visible over here. So as I earlier said, there are 2 parts of the experiment. In the first part, we have to find out the magnetic field related to the current. So you can see the first part, the part we can select it from the first drop-down menu where you can see it is written as magnetic field versus current. So this is the first part. Now the second part will be Hall effect setup. So first we will perform the first part. So I just click on magnetic field versus current. Then the next button I have to click, that is insert probe. So once I insert probe, you can see the probe is visible here and there is a message pop up here, that is click on the wood. Once I click on the wood, this probe started acting. Now there is a slider, say current. Now this current is regarding to the current through the solar. So now if I move this, the current will be changing here and it can be seen from this emitter on the setup. Now as you change this current, you can see here the Gauss meter reading is changed. So in the first part of the experiment, we need to note down the value of the Gauss meter reading, because in the second part, we are not going to read this reading. So in the first part, I can see that for 1 ampere of current, the Gauss meter reading is 0.1482. So we need to write it somewhere. Now we can perform this experiment for a different value of the current. So whatever current value you want to perform the experiment, for that you just note down the Gauss meter reading. So for 2 ampere of current, it is 2964. Likewise, for 3 ampere, it is 0.4447. So you just write this reading somewhere else so that when the next part of the experiment, when you change this current, accordingly you can put this value on the observation table below. Now this is the first part of the experiment. Now let us go to the second part of the experiment. So when we go to the second part of the experiment, we need to go again for the first drop-down menu. Here we need to select Hall effect. Now again we need to click here, insert the probe. Once you click the insert the probe, again the same message will pop up. So you just click on here so that the experiment are on starting mode. Now you can see here the current is 1 ampere. So we have already written the Gauss meter reading regarding this, and that we can put it here in the column. You can see there is a Gauss meter reading column here. So I can write it as 0.1482. So this is the Gauss meter reading from the first part of the experiment. Now in the second part, now we can choose the material. Now let us see what are the variation available here. So germanium, aluminium, copper, gold. So for whichever component or whichever material you want to try to do this experiment, try to calculate the density, you can click on the material. Then there is a variation of thickness. So with the help of this slider, you can vary the thickness and correspondingly you can take the rating. Okay, so I am doing the first part or the first experiment, first set of reading with the thickness 0.001. So I'm just going to write it as here. Now, and the next, I can see the Hall current is 1 milliampere. Now in this setup, you can see this is an instrument which is showing you the current as well as voltage. Now you can see that milliampere LED is open. That means this is acting now as a emitter. Okay, now the emitter reading will give you 1. So I can write here, Hall current is 1 milliampere already taken here. Now for showing the voltage through this device, I need to click here on show voltage. So now here you can see the voltage is being seen. So I just write down this voltage here. So this is about 28.756. So once I write this value of the voltage, now you can get the Hall coefficient for this material and as well as the carrier concentration of this material. So now in this experiment, we can see there are 3 variables: current, thickness, and Hall current. So with the help of these 3 variables, we can do the different variations of the experiment and you can give the student different type of experiment. Now, this is what is the experiment part. Now you can change the thickness. Again, you can perform the experiment, or you can change the value of the current and perform the experiment, and you can see the different set of the experiment over here, or different set of value over here, and you can compare how the change in current will affect the value, how the change in thickness will affect the value, and how the change in magnetic field will affect the value of the Hall coefficient and carrier concentration. Now let us go to the next tab. This is the assignment tab. Now this assignment, there are 5 questions over here regarding the experiment that just now we have seen. Student can perform the experiment, and after performing the experiment, they can explain it very nicely. Now the next part is the reference. From this reference, they will come to know more information regarding this experiment. Now, to evaluate this experiment, you can create a Google Sheet, something like this. Now in this Google Sheet, you can frame your own questions, and this Google Sheet you can circulate to your student via your or through your Google Classroom. The evaluation of this Google Sheet can be done and grading will be saved in your Google Classroom. And at the end, when after performing all the experiment that you are going to conduct through the VLab, the grading will be done and final assessment will be done. So now you can see how can we do. So this is a sample allotment sheet. Allotment sheet, just now I said that for this experiment, there are 3 variables. The material is a variable, the solenoid current is a variable, thickness is a variable, and current is a variable. So with all these variable, you can give different set of variable to the student to perform the experiment so that you can get a variety of result for the comparison. Now in the next question, you can ask something like that. What is the value of solenoid current for which you have done the experiment? What is the Gauss meter reading? And here also you can write some question, something like, what is the effect of increase in the Hall current on Hall voltage? So whatever question you feel like asking, you can write it here and post it to the Google Classroom, and it will be evaluated by its own, and grades will be given in your Google Classroom. Not only given, but it is saved over there as an evaluation. So this is how you can conduct the experiment. Now this is all about. Now here you can see there is a last tab, that is feedback. We need not to explore this tab. The feedback regarding the online feedback regarding this experiment or all the VLab experiment will be later explained by Meenal Apsangi madam. That's all about this experiment. Thank you. Over to Meenal madam.
Thank you, Ghosh madam. Thank you for that wonderful explanation of one experiment from the physics. Bhalke sir.
Joining because of some technical problem. So as I think Khatawkar madam will see. So madam, shall we go ahead or we can do vote of thanks and we'll
I
start
think
session?
Valke sir, what I feel is it's around 12:30 as we had decided. 12:30 would be up to 12:30. We should have the first session so that people have the lunch. Okay. So we'll have a
Then
vote
we
of
will have
thanks.
yeah, madam. Yeah. I think Kulkarni madam is going to give vote of.
Yeah. May I request our principal, Honorable Principal, Dr. Kalyani Kulkarni ma'am, to express the vote of thanks.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yeah, madam, you are audible.
Yes, thank you, sir. Good afternoon, all. Respected dignitaries, invitees, participants, and the host teams. It's said that the essence of all beautiful art is gratitude, and I'm here to express our gratitude towards everyone on the occasion of inaugural ceremony of Virtual Labs hands-on workshop for faculty of all engineering disciplines. This pandemic has vanished the various boundaries, and now it's time to work not only in multidisciplinary domain but also cross-institutional way, and hence the event is also a collaborative effort, a joint venture. We are fortunate to have with us the premier leadership to grace the occasion. Nitin Karmarkar sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Savitribai Phule Pune University Pune, for his inspiring address. Thank you, sir, for your exemplary efforts to empower our teachers with knowledge and skills. I would like to propose the hearty vote of thanks to guest of honor, Dr. Manohar Chaskar, Honorable Dean, Faculty of Science and Technology, SPPU, for gracing the function. Today, we got an opportunity to listen to visionary behind the virtual labs, Honorable Dr. Santosh Narona sir, Principal Investigator, Virtual Labs, IIT Bombay. I express my sincere thanks to Narona sir for sparing his precious time for us so as to lay down the foundation and to provide the context of deliberations, especially his word, hub and spoke. I would like to express a deep sense of gratitude for Dr. D.S. Pomani, Honorable Chairman, Board of Studies, ENTC, SPPU, and Principal of AISSMS College of Engineering, Pune, for his motivation in including VLabs in the curriculum and hence his passion to take technology advancements to every faculty and student. I sincerely thank Honorable Director of Pune Vidyarthi Gurus College of Engineering and Technology, Pune, Professor R.G. Kaduskar sir, for his inspiring presence and a warm welcome note. Team of IITB is continuously mentoring the virtual lab development with a keen focus on the quality assurance and new initiatives. I express my sincere thanks to today's keynote speaker, Mr. Pushpadeep Mishra, Project Manager, Virtual Labs, IIT Bombay, and Mr. Jay Mathur, VLab Team, IITB. I acknowledge the gracious presence of Chairman of Board of Studies of various faculties of SPPU and Board of Studies members, directors, principals, head of the departments, deans of various colleges, and senior faculty members. I appreciate the involvement of our co-host leader, Dr. D.J. Bharke, head of ENTC Department of AISSMS College of Engineering, and VLab Nodal Coordinator, VLab Technical Coordinator, Professor Nitin Maure sir, and the entire AISSMS team, and thank them all for successful organization for this event. Friends, PVG COET has well understood the need to change. Instead of becoming the victim of change, we started our journey for change makers with the grand and sustainable support by the management of Pune Vidyarthi Group. I take this opportunity to express our sincere thanks to Honorable Shri Sunil Redekar, Registrar of Pune Vidyarthi Group and Director of the college. The VLab Regional Center team is working day and night for exploring the VLabs to all the participants through demonstrations and hands-on. I appreciate the consistent efforts of VLab Nodal Coordinator of PVG, Professor Meenal Apsangi, and the Nodal Technical Coordinator, Professor Urmila Kalshetty. I'm pleased to mark my appreciation to a team which will be demonstrating virtual labs of various disciplines in afternoon session. The one we have already session is over. Professor Ranjita Ghosh, Professor Kshama Balbute, Professor Aditya Dongre, Professor Priya Deshpande, and our students, volunteers, and coordinators. I'm happy to acknowledge the accomplishments and thank Virtual Labs regional coordinators of PVG COET. Regional Coordinator Professor Tanuja Khatakar and Regional Technical Coordinator Professor Manish Nagoshin. I appreciate their incredible job, not only in utilizing VLab, but building a team to develop new labs, reaching to community and following the path of Pune Vidyarthi Griha, that is serving the society through knowledge resource. And before I conclude, I extend a big thank you to you all and best wishes to all the 1,000 participants ready to get equipped with virtual labs and ICT tool to empower the teaching learning process. Once again, I thank you, and I know everybody is eager to go offline and have a delicious lunch. So thank you and have a nice time for the entire day. Thank you. Over to you, Bhargav sir.
Okay, thank you, madam. I request Khataukar madam for further announcement. Khataukar madam.
Minal ma'am? Yeah. Yes, sir. Minal ma'am, can you please do the honors?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we will have our hands-on session continued after the lunch. We will meet, all of us, we will be meeting here again sharp 2 o'clock. Sharp 2 o'clock, we will be starting our session on hands-on. And the way we have shown the hands-on session for the physics lab, we will be covering all the other labs also. As Khataukar madam has mentioned, that we will be giving you some deliverables later on during the sessions also. And one of the most important deliverables will be your subject mapping for each faculty. That means for each department, which subject is mapped to which particular virtual lab. Team PVG COET has taken a great efforts to do all these things. So those are the takeaways, one of the important takeaways for this event. Getting in the second session. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. While joining for the second session, it would be better if you could join from using your laptop, because following the demonstrations, you'll have to start with the hands-on session. So preferably you should have a laptop then, or a desktop, you can say, so that you can work comfortably. If it's not available, you can directly use your mobile phones in that case. I think with this, we can end the session. Balke sir, we can break for lunch.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you,
Always join
everybody.
at 2 o'clock. Attendance link is floated on the chat box. So I request all participants to mark your attendance of the first session. Yeah, and this Zoom session will open for 5 more minutes. So till that time, please you mark your attendance and you join at 2 o'clock. Is it okay, madam?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, madam. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
you.